Thank you. Name of my story is called Wouldn't You? And I just want to get set up with my virtual screen there. Okay. My mom friends called me the baby whisperer because I just had a way with babies. And they would hand me their squalling infants, and I would swaddle them, and they would just calm down. I just had a way with it. I loved being a mom. My son Jesse, who I had given birth to 4 years prior, was now pestering me, begging me for a little brother or little sister. And his father and I had divorced by then, but I knew I had the capacity to parent another child. I wanted to expand our family. And so I reached out to an adoption facilitator. And over time, she connected me with a young black teenager, just 17 years old, who was in her 9th month. She wanted to place her baby for adoption, but she was keeping her pregnancy a secret from her own mother living at home. And this gave me pause because I believe in an open adoption. I wanted any child I adopt to grow up knowing his kin. And also because I didn't know the reason why she felt compelled to keep it a secret from her mother. But she was in need, and I said okay. She called me from the hospital the day he was born. I drove to San Diego and made a beeline to her room. She was distraught and disoriented, her eyes red from crying. She had asked for the baby to stay in the nursery because it was too difficult to have him in her room, and she asked me to go be with him in the nursery. The nurses knew what was going on, and they let me stay. I picked him up from his little crib. I sat down in a comfy chair nearby. I opened my shirt and rocked him against my skin so he would feel warm skin and a steady heartbeat, his first night independently on earth. And we stayed in the chair through the night into the morning. And then we went back to the room and we signed papers with the social worker, which would allow me to take him home from the hospital. The birth mom said she didn't know who the father was, and so there was no father's signature on the birth certificate. When I came home with our little baby, Jesse was so excited, jumping up and down. I want to hold him, I want to hold him. I propped a little pillow under Jesse's arm on the sofa so he could hold his new baby brother, and he said, "Mama, I promise I'm going to share my Pokemon cards with him, I promise." And I knew that he would. That night I sang to him, and I rocked him on my chest, skin to skin. Because his mother didn't want her belly to show, she hadn't eaten much during her pregnancy. So he was a lean baby, not malnourished, but very thin. He had beautiful high cheekbones, very regal, and beautiful chocolate skin, and long tapered fingers that would move gracefully, reminded me of underwater seagrass. And babies take almost another month on the outside to complete the gestation. They're not fully present, and until they come into their own, their eyes are sort of glassy and glazed, and they look through you. But every parent knows that day they give you that first real smile is just a beautiful day. Jesse had smiled on the 9th day. This little guy hadn't smiled yet, but we had time, and we knew it was coming. So I bathed him, I sang to him. Every day I bathed him gently. He really loved the warm water. He seemed to relax in the warm water and hold his arms out, floating like little wings. Day 14, I had just finished bathing him and wrapped him in a warm towel when the phone rang. I had him resting on my lap when I answered it. The facilitator's voice was shrill and panicked. She said the birth mother, in her postpartum despair, had broken down and revealed to her own mother, the baby's grandmother, what she had done, and given the phone number to the grandmother. And the grandmother had called the facilitator and said she wants the baby back. I sit in stunned silence. The facilitator starts ranting in my ear. Listen, I know a good attorney, and you can fight this case. You've got the resources. You can give him a better life. And she's going on and on. That was never my intention, to take a baby from a mother who wanted to parent him. She's going on and on about how I should fight this case when she realizes I haven't said anything. And then she stops and she says, okay, I'll give you some time to process this, but just so you know, I gave your phone number to the grandmother. And we hung up. And I rose with the baby and went and sat in the rocking chair and was rocking him skin to skin, giving him his bottle when the phone rang. It was Grandma, and she was crying. Please, Miss Ross, I had no idea my daughter was pregnant. I never would have let her do this had I known. Please, I want to raise my grandson. And Grandma tells me that she knows who the father is. He's a young seaman in the Navy, based out of San Diego. He was out to sea, but her daughter got word to him, and he was livid, and he was coming to LA to get me and get the baby as soon as his ship came into port. Imagine the emotional turmoil of the grandmother finding this out, and the mother's agony of regret. Imagine being able to turn back the hands of time and correct a mistake and give this young woman the chance of a do-over. Who among us wouldn't want that chance to take back a decision that we later regretted? Imagine being able to give that gift to another. Wouldn't you want that? Wouldn't you do that? I said to the grandma, it's okay, Grandma. It's okay. Tell the father to stand down. Tell the mother, tell your daughter to come get her son. Grandma stopped crying. She said they didn't have a car, but she would buy a Greyhound bus ticket for her daughter to come up, and I would meet her at the downtown LA bus station the next day. On our last night together, I sang to that beautiful boy, and I rocked him on my chest, skin to skin, and I whispered baby love stuff in his ear as he drank his milk, and I enjoyed his long, tapered fingers as they wavered gracefully like underwater seagrass. I had imagined raising a a fabulous neurosurgeon or jazz pianist, but in that moment, I just enjoyed his beautiful hands. The next morning, I packed a baby bag full of diapers and clothing and everything a new mom could want, and I drove him to the Greyhound bus station and waited for her with him in my arms. She arrived distraught and disoriented, her eyes swollen from crying. We sat in two hard plastic chairs tightly together, with him on my lap gazing up at the two of us. And I undid his little clothes to show her how to care for the remnants of the umbilical cord that had fallen off, and I shared with her everything I knew about his sleep patterns and his eating habits. And then I fitted her with the front baby carrier and put him snugly inside, and we hugged, and she turned in the direction of the rest of her life, and I turned toward mine. But I did turn around to steal one last glance, and it was just in time to see that little boy give his first smile to his mother. Thank you.